Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before watching the video, please subscribe and like it. In a surprising turn of events that has left fans stunned and critics divided, Chrisley found himself in the center of media chaos after being involved in a car accident that has sparked not only concern, but also intense discussion around parenting safety and personal responsibility. The incident occurred late yesterday, when Chrisley reportedly lost control of his vehicle during what sources described as an otherwise routine drive through a suburban neighborhood. Though details surrounding the crash remain under investigation, early reports suggest the vehicle veered off the road and collided with a streetlight, leaving the front end of the car severely damaged, but thankfully with no life-threatening injuries to those involved. Among the passengers was young Jackson, whose presence in the vehicle quickly became a focal point for public debate, not due to his injuries, but because of the manner in which he was being transported. According to eyewitness accounts and preliminary reports, Jackson was securely fastened in a booster seat at the time of the crash, a detail that may have played a critical role in preventing serious harm. However, what caught many off guard was not the safety measure itself, but the justification that followed. As critics questioned why Jackson still uses a booster seat at his age, Chrisley responded with a calm yet firm explanation that has since gone viral, sparking both praise and criticism across social platforms. In a statement released just hours after the crash, Chrisley emphasized that Jackson's safety is and always has been the top priority, and that the decision to continue using a booster seat was made after careful consideration and professional consultation. While some online commentators rushed to mock the move as overprotective or unnecessary, child safety experts were quick to defend it, noting that booster seat use is not a one-size-fits-all issue and depends heavily on the child's height, weight, and developmental readiness for standard seatbelts. Chrisley's statement underlined that point, highlighting the personal nature of parenting choices and the importance of not succumbing to public pressure when it comes to protecting one's children. In his words, what works for one child may not work for another, and when it comes to safety, we don't gamble. The public response has been mixed, with hashtags supporting Chrisley gaining momentum, while others argue the explanation was more of a public relations move than a genuine parental decision. Some believe the incident was a moment of transparency and vulnerability for the often polarizing figure, while others are calling it a calculated attempt to regain sympathy and reshape his image amid ongoing controversies. Nevertheless, the debate has brought renewed attention to vehicle safety for children, reigniting a conversation that many experts believe is long overdue. Observers have also pointed out that Chrisley's quick acknowledgement of the accident and his open discussion about Jackson's booster seat use show a shift in tone from past incidents when he might have remained silent or defensive. This time, however, the message was clear and unapologetic. Jackson's safety came first, and if that meant enduring public scrutiny for doing what he believed was right, so be it. Supporters rallied behind the sentiment, praising the willingness to challenge societal expectations and stand firm on a decision rooted in love and caution. As the investigation into the crash continues, authorities have not reported any indication of foul play, intoxication, or mechanical failure, but have emphasized that weather conditions and possible driver distraction are still being examined. Meanwhile, Chrisley's legal team has declined further comment, while urging the media and public to respect the family's privacy during this time. A representative close to the family stated that both Chrisley and Jackson are recovering well and are grateful for the outpouring of support and concern. In the wake of the incident, conversations around child passenger safety have flooded parenting forums and morning talk shows, with experts stressing the importance of individualized approaches to child car safety. Laws across the country vary, and the age at which children transition out of booster seats can depend on a number of factors. Beyond that, however, the cultural expectations of what is considered normal or age-appropriate often overshadow the real issue of what is actually safe. Chrisley now finds himself in a position he has not often been in recently, being applauded by some for doing the right thing rather than criticized for doing the opposite. Whether this moment marks a turning point in public perception remains to be seen. But what is clear is that for all the headlines and hashtags, this is ultimately a story about a parent doing what he believes is best for his child, even when the world is watching and not necessarily approving. As the dust settles from the accident and the media cycle moves on, one can only hope that the larger lesson here is not lost amid the noise. That safety, especially when it comes to children, is not something to be compromised for optics or popularity. That sometimes the most responsible choice is the one that seems most uncomfortable or controversial, and that in a world quick to judge, we might all do better by listening first before rushing to label. Chrisley has opened up in an emotional and unexpected revelation following a recent car accident that shook her and her son to the core. In a candid moment that fans weren't expecting, Chrisley shared raw details about the incident and explained how her son's use of a booster seat became not just a safety measure, but a life-saving decision that proved its worth when everything suddenly went wrong. The accident reportedly occurred during what should have been an ordinary drive home when Chrisley's vehicle was struck at an intersection after another driver failed to yield. Her car was hit hard enough to spin out of control and collide with a metal barrier. The crash left Chrisley visibly shaken and her son in tears, but thankfully physically unharmed in the immediate aftermath of the crash. Chrisley, who has long kept many of her parenting decisions private, felt compelled to speak up not just to tell her side of the story, but to highlight the importance of child safety and why she continues to insist that her son uses a booster seat despite criticism from some who say he's too old for it. According to Chrisley, her maternal instincts kicked in before she ever put the car in drive, and she made the deliberate choice to keep the booster seat in place because it simply felt right even when others around her questioned the decision or made offhand comments suggesting she was being overly cautious or treating her son like a baby. She never wavered, and now she's more confident than ever that she made the right call, sharing that her son walked away without a single scratch, while the car itself suffered significant damage. Chrisley credited the booster seat as the reason her child was protected during the impact, and explained that she refuses to compromise when it comes to his safety in a social media post that quickly went viral. Chrisley wrote that she doesn't care what people think about her parenting style, because what matters most is that her child is safe and alive today because of one choice she never second-guessed. She admitted she had doubts at times, especially when others made her feel like she was doing too much or not letting her son grow up fast enough. But the crash gave her clarity and reaffirmed that listening to her gut was the best thing she ever did. She also addressed the pressure that so many parents face about when to move their kids out of booster seats and how easy it is to make decisions based on what looks normal rather than what is actually safest. Chrisley wants parents to know that there is no shame in putting safety first, even if it means going against what everyone else is doing. She shared how heartbreaking it would have been if she had listened to outside voices and something had gone wrong. She described holding her son tightly after the accident, thanking God over and over that he was okay, while her heart was still racing and her hands were still shaking. She said she couldn't stop thinking about the what-ifs and how close they came to a very different outcome. She recalled looking at the crushed side of the vehicle where the door bent inward and realizing that the booster seat had kept her son in the exact position he needed to be to avoid injury. She said the seatbelt alone might not have offered the same level of protection in that moment, and she hopes other families will think twice before rushing their children out of car seats before they're truly ready. Chrisley also expressed gratitude for the emergency responders who arrived at the scene and comforted both her and her son when they were still processing what had just happened. She praised the firefighters, who made sure they were checked out thoroughly, and the paramedics who reassured her that everything was going to be okay, even as she tried to hold back tears. She described how surreal it felt to watch flashing lights illuminate the scene and hear her son ask if they were going to be all right, and how all she could do was hold his hand and promise him she